Well, this action research proposal is a year in the making, and we're finally here, so let's go ahead and see what this turned out, or how this turned out, I should say. My topic. I was drawn to this topic because this year I had several students who had lots of trouble focusing and being on task and really sitting still for any lengthy period of time. And that led to their classwork assignments not being completed and then resulting in low grades. So I was searching for a way to help them as well as help me, honestly, from being frustrated and to be more successful. So that's kind of how I chose this topic. And the problem, pretty much, when I looked at this whole big idea of how do I, help these kids, basically it was how do I reduce the off-task behavior and increase their motivation and academic performance. So that was the problem that I really wanted to solve. And so my purpose with this action research was to determine whether or not incorporating brain breaks into the daily classroom routine will improve student performance and increase their motivation. And this idea of brain breaks basically came about because of the fact that I really strongly believed that students need opportunities to be able to move around and get out of their seat and do something completely different that is physical, in addition to just the at your seat, do your work, and get things done. So my research questions, I had two of them. The first research question was, will the daily use of brain breaks increase students' academic performance? And then the second question was, will their motivation levels and overall attitude towards school become more positive as a result of using these brain breaks? Why do brains need breaks? Well, first, we need time for memory formation and settling. So when we learn new things, it takes some time for our brain to actually put it into long-term memory. Brains are designed for learning short bursts of information. The more breaks we give our brains, the better it will function for us. So in other words, the better we will learn. And then dopamine levels will increase as well. And all the experts and the different studies that I looked at in starting this action research all pretty much had the same thoughts, that we really need to give our brains breaks now and again. As I said, experts definitely agree that the more opportunities children are given to move and be physical, the more focused they'll be during instructional time. And so that results in many advantages of doing these types of activities in the classroom. First, you'll have better behavior and attitude, higher self-esteem, because they are now being able to succeed and get things done. Also, reduction of anxiety or depression in students, especially older kids who are really cognizant of the fact that they are either different from their peers or not performing as well as their peers. Increased amounts of information absorption and retention. So if these brain breaks will, according to different studies, they will definitely help to retain information. And also they'll lead to healthier long-term lifestyle habits within these kids that are in our classrooms. The setting that my action research took place at was Heading Camp Elementary School in Chula Vista, where I teach 6th grade. There were about 1,000 students at the school site at the time of my research, and the demographics are basically broken into 46% Hispanic, 7% Asian, 30% Filipino, and then 12% white and 5% African American. About 27% of our students at the site are English language learners, and 19% receive free and reduced lunch. Our current API is 901, and it's been around the 900s for the last couple of years. The actual participants in my research were 32 6th grade students, between the ages of 10 and 12. 14 girls and 18 boys. I was very heavy with the boys this year. And in this group of students on the 2012 CST, 80% of them scored proficient on language arts and math, and 15% scored in the basic realm, and 5% scored either below basic or far below basic. And then 5 students in this class of 32 exhibit attention deficits as well as hyperactive tendencies. So the interventions that I put in place as part of this action research was, first, I developed a daily brain break policy, and that basically was that we would participate in a brain break approximately every 30 minutes or so after instruction or independent work time. And another intervention basically went along with that. There were 10 different brain breaks that I used, and they were all used randomly, kind of drawn from a jar. And some of the examples, there was one called handshake, number 1. There was one called waiter, and those are all outlined in my actual action research paper. All of these brain breaks were student-led, so after I initially modeled and taught the brain breaks to them, then students became brain break leaders, and they were the ones that would lead the brain breaks on a daily basis. I also had observations and interviews as part of my interventions. The data collection was a combination of surveys, quiz scores, observations, again, keeping kind of a tally sheet as far as how many times I had to redirect a student who was off task, or how many times a student was kind of losing focus or not really getting things done that they need to get done. And then also, as I already mentioned, interviews, pre and post the study. Plans for increasing the validity of my research. I used 3 different types. First, the applicability and transferability. So, you know, does this research apply to other teachers in other situations? Absolutely. And we know that all teachers struggle with the same, you know, issue. Students losing focus, students not able to get things done, students being unmotivated. And then number 2, neutrality and confirmability. So was I able to kind of keep myself kind of neutral and objective? And I was able to do that by sharing my results each week with a colleague, and kind of to get their a sense from them how they felt things were going. And then lastly, the catalytic form of validity, and this was basically, you know, I want to be able to change and improve and become a better teacher, and this was one of the ways that I could do that. And then for confidentiality, informed consent forms were signed by all parents of the students that participated. Every student was assigned a number, so they were, you know, completely, it was confidential. And then all data that I collected during the research was destroyed at the completion of it. My results. The group of 26 students out of the 32 were unidentified, which means that they were not students that struggle with focus or attention issues. And as a result of the study and the interventions, 88% of them did not really experience any improvement, and 88% did not experience any improvement on their completion of classwork, and 81% didn't really show any improvement on their performance on quizzes. However, these students were performing at grade level or above prior to the study already, so there really wasn't much room for them to improve. And then, like I said, they maintained a strong performance overall. And several students, surprisingly, in this group used brain breaks on their own without any type of prompting from me or the student brain break leaders. And they did this during testing periods, and it was very interesting to see that they did that completely on their own to kind of help themselves get back on track. The other group, the identified students, 6 of them, they were the ones that struggled with the attention issues or the hyperactive tendencies. and 12.3% of them showed a gain in classwork completion, and 6.8% demonstrated a gain in quiz scores. So we did have significant improvement. Overall better attitude with those 6 students, large decrease in the number of redirections or reminders from me in a day, and students participated more overall. So in conclusion, by incorporating brain breaks into the daily classroom routine, their motivation will increase, their overall academic performance will improve, and although a few of the students that were identified as struggling did not make much growth on their quiz scores, it was clear that they had a greater self-confidence as a result, that they really felt like they could make a change and they could improve, and they were enjoying school more than they had prior to the study. And so absolutely without a doubt, I believe that there is a place for brain breaks in the classroom on a regular basis. So this action research really did kind of prove what I had set out to accomplish.